Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on Sri FM and 92.7. My name is Beatrice Edu. The news is also live on Kazmi 107.1 FM and across the world at SriNews.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. This afternoon, flood-hit local assemblies begin a clean-up exercise to clear piles of refuse and debris left in the wake of heavy rains in the national capital as public health concerns heighten. Meanwhile, in the Volta region, health officials at Anglo Afiadenigba in the Keta municipality fear a surge in typhoid cases and skin infections as floodwaters begin to recede. And much later on the program, High Court dismisses emergency application for stay of execution in decision which allows extradition of romance scam suspect Abu Trika. Thank you very much for joining us. Several streets and homes across the national capital remain littered with debris a week after floodwaters swept through parts of the city, raising growing public health concerns. While some roads have been cleared, many communities are still awaiting cleanup efforts. Our reporter Joseph Armstrong Alugbe monitored the situation, the exercise in some parts of communities. He'll be joining us very shortly. But first, here is the coordinator of the National Post-Flood Mitigation Task Force, Brigadier General Foster Okanyeboa, on what is expected of the assemblies.
And preventing secondary disasters such as outbreaks of cholera, typhoid, and other waterborne diseases. Particular attention will be given to the removal of refuse, silt, fallen trees, abandoned vehicles, collapsed structures, and other debris obstructing roads, bridges, drains, and waterways. As part of the operation, the Ghana Armed Forces will deploy personnel, engineers, specialized equipment to clear major drains, streams, rivers, and other critical waterways. In accordance with applicable laws and directives of the appropriate civil authorities, structures illegally erected within waterways or that pose an immediate danger to public safety and flood mitigation efforts may be removed where necessary. The Metropolitan, Municipal, and District Assemblies have also been directed to organize and lead cleanup exercises within their respective jurisdictions in support of the national operation. Their efforts will complement those of the Ghana Armed Forces and other security agencies to ensure that all affected communities receive the required attention. The government is particularly grateful to the numerous private sector organizations that have responded positively to the national appeal by voluntarily providing heavy equipment, technical expertise, and logistics to support the exercise. The government commends this demonstration of patriotism and corporate social responsibility and encourages other organizations to support this important national endeavor. In addition, equipment acquired under the District Road Improvement Program is being mobilized to augment ongoing operations across affected areas.
And I had the Brigadier General Foster Okanyeboa. He's the coordinator of the National Post-Flood Mitigation Task Force. Joseph Armstrong, I did tell you, is monitoring the situation in some communities for us. He joins us live on the line. Joe, if you can tell us which communities you visited, what the situation is like now.
So this is currently, I'm along the Alveno area where you see trucks trying to clear the debris. Stuck here since last week. I've seen some trucks numbering about 3. I see some adventures also happening to lift the debris. And I must say that what we've seen today also many left get declared. But I can confirm that indeed the assemblies are up to the task as they are putting all effort. Where I stand currently is exactly around the Abdullah traffic light area where you see ongoing work clear of debris on the major road preventing people of traffic. So yes, I can confirm that efforts being put in place to clear the debris on the streets from last week.
How are people reacting generally, though, about the filth around them and the efforts and even going about their normal activities like selling food, among others?
So this is telling me people are just focusing on how to get their life back on track as they are still trying to clean their rooms, their shops, their company areas, because all this area where I work now was heavily flooded. So much flooded that people are still seeing how they can get back on track. So what Assembly is doing is not much of their concern. They are just happy that so far they are having the Assembly coming to collect the debris back in front of their homes so that in the event of any other heavy downpour, will not wash it back into their room. So, well, I can also see, I just got the Odor River area where you see that she was dragging in the Odor itself, have not restarted, but some vehicles that were stuck or that were washed away into Odor Train. This morning, you see they are no longer in the, I can just see some 2 vehicles still stuck in the Odor River, meaning effort to move the vehicles from the Odor River is yet to commence because it's 1, 2, 3 vehicles still left in the Odor River. But for the debris, I can confirm that people, the Assembly, with help from other waste companies, are doing their best to clear the streets of them.
Thank you very much, Joseph Armstrong. He's my colleague monitoring how communities are trying to clear the debris flowing last Monday's floods in the capital city, Accra. We stay a bit longer on this because residents of a house that was completely flooded at Malam in the Greater Accra region are still struggling to cope with a traumatic experience exactly 1 week after a torrential downpour brought parts of the capital to a standstill. A video of the flooded house located behind the Malam transport station went viral. In the video, a woman is heard making a passionate appeal for urgent rescue to save the occupants, some of whom were forced to swim to safety. Christian Yale has visited this spot to assess the situation there. He joins us live on the line as well. Chris, what can you tell us? What have you observed since you arrived at the place?
Beatrice, this is an area that is located, when you get to the Malam station, there is a Malcolm shop. So right behind the Malcolm shop is this area. It is actually a low-lying area because it's in a slopey area. So what it means is that once it rains, from the top there, where I described to you, where you have the Malam shop, the station, and then the Malcolm shop, the water runs all the way from there to this area, which is a low-lying area. And actually, there is also a bridge around the same area, which is not in a good condition. And so any little overflow means that residents and shops and those who work around are going to bear the brunt of it. So that is the situation. I've come to this particular house. You would realize that when the flood happened, there was one spot that gained so much attention where you saw the flood waters rise to a substantial level of the room such that no one could stand in, and you saw a lot of, gentlemen who were swimming in the flood waters trying to rescue those who were inside the room. So I have one of those gentlemen who were swimming to ask a quick question. You are live on 3FM 92.7. It's Saturday, no, then it's here, but monitor for mommy, then it's here.
Okay, the phone and I see no starting to me Pierre Bontin, me packing my variables, the meeting there, but no crano level and I may expect to see the family. So no FF more than that level. So afterwards I was standing at the bank, then I heard the women shouting in the house that they need help, they need help. Mm-hmm. When I came out to see that they were all trapped with water. Mm. So I have to go inside with my brother, my little brother, and together with some of other men. We went to break the doors, and we survived some of the children to my rooftop. Mm-hmm. And from the rooftop, then we came down and came to survive their mothers to the bank over there. And afterwards, before the NADMO came in, they came to give us life jackets. They themselves didn't do anything. We did everything ourselves. Valuables me and your man, but life now, I was saying, just and your money in your banner, yeah, yes, an empty, so bar around. Yeah, or buy around or no, or buy so nice, no density in Pons shed and bar for me. But me who say, as of now, no, so now impact, no, I will have you saying, so the refuse in Rabbi Baha say, what than anyone in a music or hostel, or how Ben, what is the kind of impact and the Amamwa stone you are trying to come out of it? Okay, you see, there is a main drainage about 50 meters away from us. And that drainage, there is one particular joint which connects the gutter straight into, from the street to the gutter. When the drainage overflows, then it diverts and it comes back. If we have better drainages from here to that place, I'm not sure we'll be facing such problems. Thank you so much. Defenses, as you can see, wall defense back. The density of the water was above expectation. Yeah, sure. What's the name again? Isaac Odate Beatrice. So that is it. And when you get to this area, apart from the worrying picture that he has just painted, there is a public toilet also just within the same compound. So you can as well imagine, the health issues that it brings, because then when you have the flood waters rising to almost the rooftop of all the buildings here, and this is a public toilet facility that is not coming with so much height, and so in the video you realize that it was almost, the flood waters had almost filled the entire building. What it means is that definitely there are particles that are going to be pushed outside of this public toilet facility. But maybe in just a minute, in just less than a minute, let me speak to one of the children in that viral video that the gentleman I spoke with, carried on the back. The mother is here. Just a minute, Beatrice. Let me quickly ask her what impact the floodwaters have brought, and then we can wrap it up. You're live on 3FM. You think, you'll have the baby, Baba Kun Ekawaniana. Share a mountain at when it's your mammy, or how Ben Amukum to see a Mwabin Amunia say a bind bedroom. Or how on a dear to see an American say a bamboo on my iska, near to fear. Yenya, you bet swiftly, I had your yamper had because near seed and any week, you name is her in so far as in took a self outside, you name your better a sibium, how near yamper when you say, a bam name one a yen free her, yamper had you. Quite a Yenisika, that's what you will sika, and can you man be bring a big janaki, you call young Kwami here. Young say, Assembly Penifaba had it, and Muyama has said. Assembly member named Pine, one Akadisi for Nobiamaha. Jerry Nebaha, that is the MP. Jerry Mohammed Nebaha. On your back line and say, since 20 Bessa 20 young, yet to say in 20 young Corrigan. Na young Quadao. Now I will go not high and yes before no idea what to train you may do, but I had didn't see a qua. Yashi Wahano. Basically what she's saying is that they need help to relocate or to move from this area. As I told you, it is a low-lying area. They want government to assist them with funds to be able to rent outside of this place. She mentioned that the Member of Parliament, Jerry Ahmed Shaib, has been here to talk to them, but she heard he had earlier supplied some relief items to a place that wasn't as heavily hit by the floodwaters as where I am right now, which is just around Prophet Kum church area when you get to Malam. And so they are still dealing with the trauma, they are still dealing with the consequences or the impact of the flood as happened exactly a week ago. But we look forward to how government is going to deal with this situation, because when we get here, or when you get here, you realize that there are heaps of refuse all dotted across the community. And so should anything happen right now, the replica impact would be huge and will be telling. Beatrice.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Christian Yale. He's my colleague currently at Malam, monitoring the situation there for us as well. And he spoke about filth and the implications. And already health officials in Anglo Afiade Nyigba in the Keta municipality of the Volta region are also raising alarm over a surge in typhoid cases and skin infections among residents. They say the spike is linked to recent floods that have left residents exposed to contaminated water. Let's listen to a physician assistant in the area who spoke to our Volta regional correspondent Faisal Abdul Idrisu.
We realize skin infections, typhoid fever, malaria and diarrhea diseases are coming in their numbers. And if you take the history of the skin infection in particular, most of them, the children, and now is also affecting the adults. The history is when they walk through the water that enter into their house or around their house, they feel skin itching. So when they scratch it, it develops into those rashes and the skin sore that we are seeing. So those are the common conditions that we are seeing during the flood season in Anglo Afiade Nyigba.
Well, the Member of Parliament for Keta Kwame Jujoli Gakpe also spoke to him earlier.
The intervention of help from Amandi, the Assembly, myself, and then VRA, NACU, we successfully lifted the control gates and then cut the samba, allowing the free flow of water from the lagoon into the sea. The rainwater in homes will find its way back into the lagoon and all will push into the sea. Basically, that is the major to be that as soon as the lagoon water interact with seawater, there are some species of fish enter into the lagoon, and some species of fish from lagoon also enter into the sea. And then there will be a lot of economic activities.
And you had the Member of Parliament for Keta Kwame Jujoli Gakpe, an emergency responder. As emergency responders in Accra race to deal with the aftermath of the flooding, authorities in the Ashanti region are confronting a different but equally worrying threat, an increase in fire outbreaks. The National Disaster Management Organization says the growing number of fires is largely the result of unsafe handling of electricity and liquefied petroleum gas in homes, shops and workplaces.
We are having more challenges with fire disasters in the region than flood. Over 300 homes, people have been displaced. Over 7,200 people have been touched or affected by these disasters so far. And none of them is floods, it's fire. So it burns this one's room, this one's kiosk, that other markets, and all of those things are burning. And bottom line is how we manage electricity and gas, these two. Okay? And those are the things. Somebody has a gas cylinder, they don't even know the gas cylinder expires, and they're using it for 3 decades. Others have leaking gas, they lift a block and they put it on. And Ghana National Fire Service is doing a yeoman's job. They will go around and educate people, tell them all of this, but unfortunately, some of us are too stubborn. But that information is necessary, and if we use it, we save ourselves first before even our family, neighbors, and the nation. So we still use this opportunity to plead humbly from elders to youngsters. Let's all be very careful when we.
And I heard that Abdul Nasir, he's a fire officer in the Ashanti region. Ibrahim Abubakar is my colleague in the Ashanti region as well. He joins us live on the phone. Ibrahim, what more can you tell us as regards how worrying the situation has become in the Ashanti region?
Well, so, Beatrice, when you look at the statistics from January to June, the region has recorded around 126 fire outbreaks. And like he mentioned, it has displaced more than 300, between 300 to 1,000 people. And it should tell you the extent of the fire. Fine. With regards to the flooding, because we are in the rainy season, whilst NADMO is doing everything possible to ensure that they mitigate the impact of some of these floods. For now, the major concern for NADMO has to do with the rising number of fire incidents in the region. So, whilst intensifying education, they also expect the public to reciprocate it by ensuring that they abide by the fire regulations, so that going forward we wouldn't be recording some of these fire situations within the region. So the campaign is on. The enforcement, they are also expecting the likes of Ghana Fire Service to also enforce some of these measures, so that collectively we can be able to reduce this number of fire incidents to the barest minimum.
We heard the officer say that a number of people are stubborn, and so even after the education, they still go ahead and do what is not right. Has there been any immediate response from those individuals who are supposed to be getting this kind of education?
Well, obviously, Beatrice, you know that people will do what is being monitored, rather than allowing them to do what they expect to be the right thing. So that's why NADMO is also urging the fire service. In fact, it has admitted that fire service is doing a yeoman's job in educating the public to abide by these fire safety measures. But beyond the education, there should be that aspect of enforcement, so that at least they'll push people to do the right thing. Because at the end of the day, if we allow people to do what they wish and these fires come, it is the government that also suffer, because as a disaster management organization, they also have to go in with relief items and other stuff. So generally, people would want to see the authorities pushing them to the limit before they do what is right.
Well said. Thank you very much, Ibrahim Abubakar. He's my colleague in the Ashanti region. The High Court has dismissed an emergency application filed by lawyers for Frederick Kumi, also known as Abu Trika, seeking to stay the execution of a decision following his extradition to the United States. The defense team, led by Oliver Bakavomao, had filed an ex parte motion asking the court to halt the extradition order pending the outcome of the appeal. However, the court presided over by Justice Abdul Basit rejected the application and directed the lawyers to serve the Attorney General's office before proceeding with the motion, which was originally scheduled to be heard on July 13. The defense had also sought to abridge time, arguing that Abu Trika could be extradited before the appeal is heard. This follows an earlier ruling on July 2 in which the High Court dismissed a habeas corpus application challenging the legality of Abu Trika's detention. Abu Trika is facing charges in the United States, including conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering in connection with an alleged $8 million romance scam targeting elderly victims. He faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted. Lord Edwasari is my colleague and our court affairs correspondent. He joins us live on the line. Lord, what more can you tell us about the latest twist to this case?
Well, Beatrice, and so essentially, lawyers of Frederick Kumi, also known as Abu Trika, sought to get an emergency stay of execution order, which essentially would stay the hand of the prosecution or the state from extraditing Abu Trika to the United States. Now, the documents that they had filed had the hearing date of 13 July, but then they moved their application today in court, an ex parte one, essentially arguing that 13 July is a bit of a stretch because there's a possibility that the state could extradite Abu Trika before then. And so Oliver Bakavomao, the lead counsel for Abu Trika, he moved that motion to stay the execution order, but the presiding judge in the matter dismissed the indication that because the case has state interest, the defense lawyers ought to have served the Attorney General. Now, the case was stood down for a bit, and then the judge directed them to serve the Attorney General. Now, the case was stood down for a bit, and then the judge directed them to serve the Attorney General. Now, the case was stood down for a bit, and then the judge directed them to serve the Attorney General. Now, the case was stood down for a bit, and then the judge directed them to serve the Attorney General. Now, the case was stood down for a bit, and then the judge directed them to serve the Attorney General. Now, the case was stood down for a bit, and then the judge directed them to serve the Attorney General. Now, the case was stood down for a bit, and then the judge directed them to serve the Attorney General. Now, the case was stood down for a bit, and then the judge directed them to serve the Attorney General. Now, the case was stood down for a bit, and then the judge directed them to serve the Attorney General. Now, the case was stood down for a bit, and then the judge directed them to serve the Attorney General. Now, the case was stood down for a bit, and then the judge direc
prosecution or the Attorney General's office. Now, Oliver indicated that indeed they had served the office of the Attorney General and essentially had also filed for an abridgment of time. And so the court directed that they show proof of service. Now, when that was done, Oliver then moved another application to abridge the time in order for him to properly move the motion for the stay of execution order and then subsequently an appeal against the High Court's judgment on July 2nd. So this was granted, so the case has now been abridged or adjourned to July 9th, next week, Monday, effectively, for the lawyers of Abuchika to move their application. And so they're actually hoping that they can move their motion to stay the order of the court and essentially appeal the decision before the state extradite Abuchika.
All right, Lord Edwasari, our court affairs correspondent, thank you very much for joining us and bringing us those details. Now, a legal battle is brewing within the courts over the BNI's arrest of former Buffer Stock CEO Abdul Hanan. Godfred Yaboadame, who is lawyer for Abdul Wahab Alu Diba, says he will cite the Attorney General's office and the Bureau of National Investigation for contempt after he was arrested, denying him the chance to attend to medical treatment in the UK after a court had granted him leave to do so. The AG says the arrest is justified by the attempt by Hanan to empty his frozen account, an allegation which has been vehemently opposed by Godfred Dame. This afternoon, Mr. Hanan's lawyers have filed a habeas corpus to demand that the AG produces their client. But let's listen to Godfred Yaboadame, a former AG and also a lawyer involved in this case.
We were not given the opportunity to see our client at all. Indeed, we were told flatly that they don't allow lawyers to see their clients on weekends. And that's quite perplexing. I'm surprised. If a person is arrested, say on Friday night or Saturday, he will be in without access to counsel. I mean, that's the republic in which we live now. And indeed, he's been picked up for no reason. As far as someone said, just been banded off into custody for no reason whatsoever. He's been given the right to leave the country, to travel to the country for a few days by a court of competent jurisdiction. The Deputy Attorney General himself was in court and argued, and this colleague of mine argued that day. And if indeed he had any objection to the order granted, he only had to appeal. Well, he had to sort this surreptitious means of preventing from traveling. I think that this is totally unwarranted and unnecessary.
Continue. Yeah, so the Deputy Attorney General also took to his Facebook post to make some comments that your client attempted emptying his frozen bank account. How true is that? That claim is totally false. It's untrue. Did he produce to the public any evidence? Did he produce to you the manner or the evidence of the manner in which he attempted to withdraw? Because there's no such evidence. It is not true. My client has never attempted to withdraw any money from his account, even though it is important to state that presently there's no order of any court of competent jurisdiction preventing from accessing his account. The only order that they had was procured over a year ago before the discontinuance of the earlier prosecution. And we have a court ruling, a ruling of the High Court Adenta about 3 weeks ago to the effect that that order has lapsed and that if the Attorney General indeed desires to come for a fresh freezing order, he has to apply to the court. He has not done so. There is no order of any court preventing him from accessing his funds. Be that as it may, he has not accessed any funds at all. He should produce to the public, to the whole Ghanaian Republic, for us to see the manner in which he claims Hanan attempted to withdraw any money from the account. He has not issued any check. He has not executed any withdrawal note served on any bank. So how did he attempt to withdraw funds? And indeed, how do you access funds which are held in a frozen account, according to Attorney General? According to Attorney General, the account is frozen. If the account is frozen, how do you withdraw money from the frozen account? I think it's just an attempt to prevent him from traveling.
And you heard the Godfred Yaboadame, he's a former Attorney General. You're still here on the Midday News on Shri FM 92.7. Stay with us.
Freezer, yeah, diaba. Adama for diaba. A freezer. Adama, a craftsmanship. Adama. Metimoso, my sorry. Can you know, Obo Moasia? adwo frɛfrɛ no bi amienu miɛnsa na sɛ nan asɛ na wɔtumi de akwaseɛ adamafo adwena kuafo ho ahu sɛ yɛde aduro baako pɛ ɛbɛhye fuiɛ bi a technology akɔfa freezer ba wenku a ɛno nso wobɛnya 15 latest na wahwie gum wakyea na wahwie gum wode baseɛ fuiɛ bia ne wɔbɛwaseɛ bio ɛkɔte sɛ wobɛte mo no na mu yɛsuo sɛ woma nsuo ntaaseɛ na mu asɛ no afɔ naano a freezer wompɛ wei no apɛdeɛ freezer
baseɛ ɛbɛso dɔsɔɔ ama wo ama w'ani agye
ɔmotina me was sika ɔmtina me mede me nyina duru baabi sɛ mede wɔm adama wodata adama no kua adama you can't resist
Benya Adama West Africa for adwo bi wo baby biara yɛtɔn krae ho adwo afei kayo ne kenkan nchoya ɛwɔ adro ho.
And before we go, very briefly, Murtala Yakubu is with our sports desk. He joins us live in the studio now. Aftermath of the Black Stars exit.
Aftermath, Carlos Queiroz, head coach of the side, has released a statement which suggests that his time with the team has come to an end. We're told that it was a short-term deal, 4 months, which was supposed to end in August. But the next time the Black Stars will be playing will be in September. So throughout the period, he might not be doing anything. But he leaves us with some very strong, powerful words where he talks about the fact that the success of the Black Stars will not start on the field, but will start off the field. So we need to pay attention to the many talents we have and properly groom them. And he added that the journey has now started. Indeed. So let's see if he will stay or he will leave.
All right, thank you very much. The Murtala Yakubu is with our sports desk. 31 minutes past the hour of 12. Michael Ogbodu is here with the latest in business. Do stay with us. My name is Beatrice Edu. Log on to streetnews.com for more news.
FM 92.7 Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, Ghana boosts investor confidence with early $700 million Eurobond settlement. But analysts warn external sector research is needed to sustain stability.
We expect investor confidence to bounce back. We expect liquidity to be deepened, and we expect our rating to go up in subsequent rating.
Also, Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAG, demands presidential intervention to stop costly new quote Ghana Easy Pass import policy.
This program is not only yet another hurdle to free trade, but also another layer of tax and cost of doing business to the already high cost of doing business in this country.
And later in the bulletin, Government of Ghana rejects excess Treasury bill bids taken less than target in tender 2014, despite heavy oversubscription of 791.2 million cedis amid rising yields. I am Michael Obodu. Details of these and many other stories lined up for you. Do stay tuned. Thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story. In a major boost to its economic recovery, the government of Ghana has successfully settled a $700 million Eurobond obligation ahead of schedule. According to an official press release from the Ministry of Finance dated 6 July 2026, the payment was fully completed last Thursday, July 2.
The transaction breaks down into $525.2 million in principal repayments and $174.8 million in interest payments. This latest payout pushes Ghana's total distributions to Eurobond holders to a staggering $2.1 billion since January 2025. Officials note that these actions align strictly with the structured terms of the country's Eurobonds debt exchange program. Crucially for the local economy, the ministry emphasized that the early settlement was executed via government's planned financing arrangements, ensuring no undue pressure was placed on the nation's vital foreign exchange reserves. By clearing the debt early, government aims to aggressively reduce its outstanding Eurobond obligations, fortify international investor confidence, and demonstrate its rigid commitment to macroeconomic stability. The ministry thanked the Ghanaian public for their outgoing patience and support as it continues to enforce sound public financial management practices.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Now, in a related development, technical advisor at the Ministry of Finance, Professor Theory Champong, has revealed that the Eurobond payments will not impact on the exchange rate or the country's foreign exchange reserves. He further stated that making the payment ahead of schedule would save the country money.
All of these have been done ahead of time, and that is sending a clear signal to the market that we are committed to paying not only the amounts that are due, but also paying ahead of time to send a strong signal of, confidence and the credit anytime soon. It's really trying to make a clear signal that 1, we are paying, number 2, the amounts have been taken care of, and then number 3, it is not at the expense of the reserves of the country. So it's actually really a more proactive, liability management operation that the government and the Ministry of Finance is undertaking. What it actually does is you also get a little bit of savings from the time difference in terms of the interest that you would have paid. So there's something in finance people would call the time value of money, and then the timing right around that. So you could actually do this, and you can save a couple of basis points, in potential interest that you would have paid at the time that you had to pay.
So that was technical advisor at the Ministry of Finance, Professor Theory Champong, speaking there. Meanwhile, finance and tax analyst Nelson Kuchoko has hailed the government of Ghana's ahead of schedule settlement of its $700 million Eurobond obligation as a major win for the country's financial landscape, predicting a swift rebound in investor sentiment. However, the analyst paired his optimism with a crucial warning regarding long-term fiscal sustainability.
This is good news for the economy. This is good news for the markets. And I think we need to commend the finance minister and the governor of Bank of Ghana for this coordinated effort towards the honoring of this obligation towards the Eurobond holders. Cumulatively, since January 2025, as indicated in the press release, government has paid about $2.1 billion. And even that, our reserve position still remains stable, because even as at the end of first quarter, our total gross reserve was about $14.2 billion as against $10.2 billion in March 2025. And so this is good news for the market. We expect investor confidence to bounce back. We expect liquidity to be deepened, and we expect our rating to go up in subsequent rating. However, as a country, I think we need to refocus and recalibrate our effort more towards the external sector in order to rake in the needed effects to support some of these payments and also support the stability of the Ghana cedi.
Nelson Kuchoko is a financial and tax analyst. Away from that, the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAG, has issued a fierce condemnation of the Ghana Standards Authority's new Ghana Easy Pass conformity program, calling on President John Dramani Mahama to suspend the policy immediately before it severely impacts businesses and spikes consumer prices. The program, which introduces a mandatory pre-export conformity verification regime for all imported products ahead heading to Ghana has been blasted by FABAG as simply adding another tax by another name. The association argues that existing state agencies, including the Food and Drugs Authority and the Ghana Revenue Authority, are already fully mandated to perform inspections and testing, making the new program an unnecessary bureaucratic double layer of cost. Let's listen to the executive chairman of FABAG, Reverend John Awuni.
A mandatory pre-export conformity verification regime for imported products destined for Ghana is not an answer to the presence of substandard goods in the Ghanaian market. This program is not only yet another hurdle to free trade, but also another layer of tax and cost of doing business to the already high cost of doing business in this country. The continuous introduction of one stringent policy and tax, for that matter, will consequently affect the rate of investment in this country. Utility prices have just been increased. Businesses are still struggling with the troubles of the high public system, among many other problems, such as the fluctuations in the exchange rate, higher interest rates, and then now we look at Easy Pass program by the Ghana Standards Authority. It looks as if we don't want people to do business in this country. This is becoming way too much. There are already more than enough regulatory institutions that more or less perform overlapping roles in this country, such as the Standards Authority, such as the Food and Drugs Authority, Ghana Revenue Authority. And if these institutions fail in performing their mandatory functions, they don't go hiding in new policies. The new policies, if not just another job created for a compatriot, will still have to be performed by the same human beings who fail in their original functions.
So that was the executive chairman of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAG, Reverend John Awuni speaking. Before we leave you, the government of Ghana raised 3.163 billion cedis from the domestic money market during its weekly treasury bill auction on Thursday, July 2, 2026. Government pulled back on its intake despite marking its second consecutive week of heavy oversubscription. This report has more.
Designated as Tender 2014, the primary market auction opened up bids for the standard 91-day, 182-day, and 364-day short-term instruments. Total investor demand soared well past expectations, with institutions and individuals tendering a massive 4.162 billion cedis against an initial government target of 3.371 billion cedis. However, in a calculated move amid rising yields, fiscal authorities rejected a substantial volume of these offers, choosing to walk away with less than their baseline target. The 91-day bill received bids of 1.688 billion cedis, with government accepting 1.631 billion cedis at a yield of 5.87%.
And that was the 3 Business News Desk report. And on that news, that's how we end today's edition of Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more stories, please check out our website at 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for tuning in. As always, please stay safe. Up next is Urban Blend, and Blakk Rasta is on standby. Stay tuned.